Look, I need to tell you something that might sting a little bit. You know why most people never actually win at anything significant in their lives? It's not talent, it's not luck, it's not even hard work. It's something way more fundamental than that. And honestly, once you see it, you can't unsee it. By the end of this video, I'm going to show you the exact mindset shift that separates people who consistently win from everyone else who's just spinning their wheels. And stay tuned, because in about 8 minutes, I'm going to reveal the one mental trap that's probably destroying your potential right now, even if you think you're doing everything right. Here's the thing. I spent years studying high performers, athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, scientists, people who actually achieve what they set out to do. And what I found wasn't some secret morning routine or productivity hack. It was something way deeper, something that happens in their minds before they ever take action. We're going to break this down into 3 parts. First, I'll show you what most people get completely wrong about winning. Then we'll dive into the actual mindset shift, and I promise it's simpler than you think, but harder to accept. And finally, I'll give you a framework you can use starting today to actually implement this in your own life. Sound good? Let's go. Okay, so here's what most people think winning looks like. They see someone succeeding, maybe it's someone crushing it in business, or an athlete at the top of their game, or even just someone who seems to have their life together, and they think, man, they must be so confident. They must just know they're going to succeed. Wrong. That's the biggest lie we tell ourselves about winners. We think they have this unshakable confidence, this certainty that everything's going to work out. And because we don't feel that way, we think we're not cut out for success. Let me tell you a quick story. 2 years ago, I was working with this entrepreneur. Let's call him Marcus. Marcus had this amazing business idea, genuinely innovative stuff. But every time we'd meet, he'd say the same thing. I just need to feel more confident first. Once I have that, then I'll go all in. You know what happened? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Because Marcus was waiting for a feeling that winners don't actually have. Here's what I discovered. Winners aren't more confident than everyone else. They're just willing to act without confidence. That's the first piece of this puzzle. They've accepted that fear, doubt, and uncertainty are permanent residents in their minds, and they've stopped waiting for those feelings to leave before they make moves. Think about it. Every single person who's ever achieved something significant felt scared. Every single one. The difference is they didn't let that fear make the decision. They felt the fear and did it anyway. And I know that sounds cliche, but there's a reason that phrase exists. Alright, so if winners aren't just magically confident, what's actually different about how they think? This is where it gets interesting. Most people operate from what I call a results-first mindset. They think, I'll feel like a winner when I get the results. They're waiting for external validation, the promotion, the 6-figure income, the perfect relationship, whatever it is. They believe the results will change how they see themselves. Winners flip this completely upside down. They operate from an identity-first mindset. They decide who they are first, and then they let their actions flow from that identity. They don't wait for permission from the universe to see themselves as capable, they just claim it. And here's the thing. This isn't toxic positivity or fake it till you make it nonsense. It's way more nuanced than that. Let me explain with an example. Imagine 2 people who both want to become successful entrepreneurs. Person A says, I'll be an entrepreneur when my business makes money. Person B says, I am an entrepreneur who's currently building a business. See the difference? Person A is waiting for external proof. Person B has already shifted their identity. And here's what's wild. Person B will make completely different decisions throughout their day because they're operating from a different identity. They'll wake up earlier, they'll have harder conversations, they'll take risks that person A won't take because person A is still waiting to become someone they think they're not yet. This identity shift changes everything. It's like, okay, imagine you're an actor who gets cast to play a CEO in a movie. From the moment you accept that role, you start researching how CEOs walk, talk, think, and make decisions. You embody that identity even though you're not actually a CEO. That's what winners do with their real lives, except they're not acting, they're genuinely adopting the identity before they have the resume to back it up. Now, stay with me here because this is where most people mess it up. Real quick, have you ever noticed how when you buy a new car, you suddenly see that car everywhere? It's not that there are more of them on the road, it's that your brain is now tuned to notice them. That's called the Baader-Meinhof phenomenon, and it's about to become really relevant to what we're talking about. Okay, so here's the mental trap that I promised I'd reveal. Most people adopt a consumer identity instead of a creator identity. Let me break this down because this is crucial. A consumer mindset says, the world happens to me. I react to circumstances. I wait for opportunities to come my way. A creator mindset says, I make things happen. I create circumstances. I generate my own opportunities. And here's what's insidious about this. Most people don't even realize they're stuck in consumer mode. They think they're being strategic by waiting for the right time or the right opportunity. But what they're really doing is giving away all their power to external circumstances. Winners understand something fundamental. There is no right time. There's only now and what you choose to do with it. I see this all the time. People waiting to start the business until they have more money, waiting to create content until they feel more qualified, waiting to ask for the promotion until they've proven themselves more. It's all the same pattern. They're consuming their lives instead of creating their lives. And the brutal truth is, the world rewards creators, not consumers. You can consume every self-help book, every motivational video, every podcast episode about success, but if you're not creating, you're not winning, period. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Okay, this all sounds great, but how do I actually make this shift? How do I go from consumer to creator, from waiting for confidence to acting without it? That's exactly what we're getting into next, and honestly, this next part is the most practical piece of this whole video. But before we get there, I need you to understand one more thing. Winners have this framework they use, consciously or unconsciously, that keeps them operating from their identity instead of their circumstances. I call it the 3 A's: awareness, acceptance, and action. First, awareness. You have to become brutally aware when you're slipping into consumer mode. When you catch yourself saying things like, I'll do it when, or I'm just waiting until, that's your red flag. That's consumer thinking. Winners don't wait for perfect conditions because they understand perfect conditions don't exist. Here's a practice. For the next week, just notice your language. Notice how many times you defer action to some future version of yourself who will somehow be more ready. Just notice it. That awareness alone is powerful. Second, acceptance. This is the hardest part for most people. You have to accept that you're going to take action while feeling completely unqualified, scared, and uncertain. You have to accept that discomfort is the price of entry for anything worth achieving. Winners aren't comfortable. They're just willing to be uncomfortable. There's a huge difference. Think about the last time you did something that genuinely stretched you. Maybe it was a difficult conversation, or putting yourself out there in some way, or taking a risk. Remember how uncomfortable that felt? Now remember how you felt after you did it. That post-action clarity, that sense of, okay, I can do hard things. That's what winners chase. Not comfort, growth. And action, this is where the rubber meets the road. You have to take action from your new identity, not your old circumstances. This means making decisions as the person you're becoming, not the person you've been. Here's a practical example. Let's say you want to be someone who's in great shape. Most people approach this from their current identity. They think, I'm someone who doesn't work out, but I want to start. So they try to force themselves to exercise, and it feels like pushing a boulder uphill because they're acting against their identity. Winners flip this. They say, I am someone who trains my body. That's who I am. Then they ask, what would someone who trains their body do right now? And they do that. Maybe it's just 10 push-ups, maybe it's a 5-minute walk. Doesn't matter. What matters is they're acting from the identity, not trying to manufacture the identity through action. See the difference? One is exhausting, the other is natural. Okay, I need to be real with you about something. This mindset shift, it's not all sunshine and success stories.
There's a dark side that nobody talks about, and if you're going to make this shift, you need to be prepared for it. When you start operating as a winner, when you stop waiting for permission and start claiming your identity, some people in your life are going to have a problem with it. Your friends who are still in consumer mode might feel threatened. They might make jokes about your ambition. They might try to pull you back down to where they are because your growth makes them uncomfortable with their stagnation. Family members might question your decisions because you're no longer playing it safe. This is the tax of transformation. And here's what winners understand. Not everyone is supposed to come with you to your next level. Some relationships are seasonal. Some people are meant to be in your life for a chapter, not the whole book. I'm not saying abandon everyone who doesn't immediately support you, but I am saying you need to protect your new identity fiercely. Because in those early stages, when you've made the mental shift but don't have the results yet, you're vulnerable. One too many skeptical comments